Welcome to Leading the Follower with Rebecca Benston. Welcome to the Leading the Follower podcast. I'm Rebecca Benston, and here's what I have to say. Today's topic is time to fight dirty. As an author, I often wonder how long we will be able to share our thoughts freely, and at what point the powers that be will decide that free speech is simply not something they want to allow. Lately, I'm noticing that we seem to have reached a point where that freedom has been slowly and somewhat stealthily withdrawn. Maybe stealthily isn't accurate, since the latest attempts to censor individuals have been pretty far reaching and actually out in plain view for those who wish to acknowledge them. But sadly, the level of outrage that has been expressed over these instances of censorship hasn't really been proportionate to the offense. So I've been thinking, um, whenever I see anyone being shut down and not allowed to speak, I'm reminded of everything that I've learned and witnessed about abuse. An abuser often has a very different image that he or she portrays to the public. While being a complete and utter bastard in private, most people see this person as an upstanding, fun, or entertaining soul because they generally are just that to anyone and everyone but the people at home who support them and depend on them. To that audience, the abuser puts on a very different kind of show. The image portrayed to the rest of the world is simply a facade to hide all of the insecurities, inadequacies, and inabilities that the abuser possesses. It's the epitome of the gaslight. One of the biggest things an abuser will do is to impose limitations on the victim's freedoms. First, they limit their ability to move about freely or create such a tight tether that making any effort to get away becomes so cumbersome that the victim feels safer simply staying put. Another thing the abuser does is to stifle communications between the victim and any outside support they may have. They may cut off access to the phone, internet, mail, etc., in order to prevent the victim from making any contact with the outside world. This prevents the victim from effectively making claims about the abuse and isolates the victim to the point that they become unsure of what options they may have for changing the situation. In extreme cases, the abuser may also find it necessary to physically move the victim away from those who may serve as a support system, thus effectively trapping the victim and making it even more difficult for them to stop the abuse. Now, there are many other things abusers do to assert their dominance over their victims, but the most effective by far is the removal of access to self expression. Abusers hate it when their victims have opinions and they seek to snuff out the embers of spunk that they may see at any possible turn. Um, Heaven forbid the victim ever rise up and hold the abuser accountable for the things they've done. What we've been seeing in our society is equivalent to an abusive relationship. Some of you believe that the abuser is the best thing since sliced bread, while others see the abuser's actions for what they really are, an attack on our freedoms. And to be clear, this isn't about politics. This goes much deeper than mere liberal versus conservative squabbles. This is about the degradation of our nation's capital or constitution. I'm sorry. This is about the systematic destruction of our nation's foundation. This is about a plan being enacted to attack the freedoms of each and every individual, not just those on the left or the right. You may not see it yet, but if you delve just a bit deeper into some of the orders being signed, you'll see that what is at the core of these most recent actions is the relinquishing of fundamental freedoms, such as your First Amendment rights to free speech, freedom of religion, freedom of the press, freedom of assembly, and even your Second Amendment right to bear arms. And why? Well, because there are those who have somehow or another acquired power who have decided that your freedoms interfere with their ability to practice depravity, and they don't like the idea of anyone being able to question what they do. They want to impose their beliefs on you under the guise of the very freedom that they are systematically removing from you. For example, it's not okay for you to refuse service to someone on the basis of beliefs that conflict with your own beliefs. But it is okay for someone to make you participate in things that go against your beliefs. and to effectively try to force you into believing that your own values are somehow wrong. Does that seem right to you? And this is the classic struggle between good and evil. When evil is threatened with being exposed, it retaliates, and it doesn't follow the rules. When good attempts to fight back by using the actual channels that were created to combat evil, it doesn't work. Evil will do everything in its power to corrupt those channels and to make it impossible for good to do anything but fight fire with fire. And for most of us, we aren't necessarily sure how to operate on that level, so we hang back and wait to see what others will do. But if we wait too long, evil wins, because evil isn't afraid to crash through the china shop. While we're busy tiptoeing around the shelves, trying not to break anything, evil is plowing through the place, just destroying everything in its path, and good is left to clean up the mess. That's all we're going to share here on the podcast, but you can read the rest of our thoughts on this topic over at the Leading the Follower blog. That is www.leading-the-follower.com. Sorry for the cumbersome web address. We also have several other posts over there with lots of interesting, thought-provoking topics. And if you'd like to subscribe, we would be thrilled. If you would also subscribe to our podcast, that would also make us very happy. Thanks for stopping by and listening to what we have to say. And hopefully we'll have something else for you soon. We haven't gotten on a regular schedule yet, but we're trying to do that so that we can bring you more of our thoughts and ideas about the current state of our world, the current state of our nation, and how we need to reach out to God to make sure that we stay connected to the one true source of power that we have. So I hope you enjoyed our podcast today. I hope you'll subscribe. Hope you'll come back and let us know in the comments if you have any thoughts or questions or anything like that. Try to be nice though if you don't really agree with what we said. So have a great day, great week, and God bless.